Hello, here I am back from the Isle of Wight. I'm Ray with another Sunday podcast episode. How are you doing? I hope you're all well. The weather here, well at the moment, where are we? It's 7 o'clock Saturday morning. We only got back yesterday from the island, so I've got a lot to do today. The podcast I normally like to start on, say, Thursday, do a bit more Friday, finish off on Saturday, so it's all ready for Sunday. Well, I wasn't here Thursday or Friday, so it's Saturday and I've got to do the whole podcast in one go. The reason I like to split it up over a few days is because things happen. I get emails, things happen, and it gives me time to think. Anyway, enough of that. What am I going to do? 12C, which is 53 Fahrenheit. Oh, the flag is sort of moving a little bit, a breeze from the west, blue sky, a few puffy clouds, sunshine, which is nice, 72% humidity, 1017 millibars on the old barometer. I took my recorder to the Isle of Wight, of course, did a bit of chatting on the recorder as we walked around the Needles. That was fantastic. But I'll tell you all about that later. First of all, hello Susan over there in Germany, lovely to hear from you. Susan listens to me while she does her cooking. And replying to her email, I did say, if you burn anything, it'll probably be my fault. If you suddenly stop what you're doing and listen to me, think, oh, that bit's interesting, and then something's burning, so it'll be my fault. Lovely to hear from you, Susan. Lovely to hear from everyone else. Who else have I got here? I'll check my list in a minute. Now, Susan wanted to know about the houses here in Britain, because she was saying over there in Germany, the kitchen is normally at the front of the house. I think that's what you said, wasn't it, Susan? Here in the UK, we have a sort of traditional layout of houses. I don't know whether that's the right word, a traditional layout, really. You go in the front door. On your left or to your right is the staircase, okay, to go upstairs. Next to that, there's a hallway. Now, if you walk down the hallway past the staircase, there's a cupboard under the stairs, of course, which you probably have everywhere in the world. On the left will be the lounge. Now, this isn't every house, obviously, but this is the kind of traditional old house as it used to be. So you've got the lounge on the left, which is then obviously at the front of the house. If you walk a bit further down the hallway, you'll have the dining room through another door. That's the dining room. If you walk straight on from the front door, past the stairs, straight on, you'll find yourself in the kitchen, which looks out over the back garden, of course. Then upstairs are the bedrooms and the bathroom and toilet. With a bungalow, so you've got no upstairs. With a bungalow, you've basically got the hallway. You'll have perhaps the hallway in the middle of the house. One side, you've got the lounge, the other side, a bedroom. Go a bit further, you've got the toilet and the bathroom and another bedroom. A bit further, kitchen on the left, another bedroom on the, that's a 3-bedroom bungalow, another bedroom on the right. So the kitchen, again, is at the back of the house. There are some houses here. There was some on a new estate, well, I say new, built in the 70s, no, earlier 60s, where they put the kitchen in the front, as you were saying, Susan, about in Germany. So you're looking out from the kitchen, you're looking out onto the street. I personally don't like that, probably because I'm used to the kitchen always being at the back of the house. When I was born, we lived in a bungalow. We then moved to a bungalow. When I got married, we lived in a house and then moved to a bungalow. I do like bungalows, especially as I'm getting older now. I mean, we're in a house, but a bungalow for elderly people is rather good because you've got no stairs to worry about. There are stair lifts and things like that, of course, but fortunately I don't need that yet. I hope it'll be a few years before I have to have a stair lift or whatever it is. The Victorian houses, they're quite big. They're very narrow, but they go back a long way. So in the Victorian house, you'll go in, again, stairs on the left or the right. You've got, say, the lounge at the front, and then you go through the hallway. You've got perhaps a dining room, and then, again, you've got a kitchen, which could be a kitchen diner. All these rooms are in a row because it's a narrow, long house. And then from there, you go into the scullery, or what was the scullery. Now, what people normally do, oh, and beyond that, there is often a toilet, a bathroom. What people normally do, so you've got the lounge, then the dining room, then the kitchen, and then the scullery. What people normally do is make the scullery into the kitchen, and what was the kitchen into a dining room or if there's a separate door to it, even a separate bedroom. And then upstairs, of course, all the bedrooms. Sometimes beyond the kitchen is a bathroom with a bath and toilet, and possibly another bathroom upstairs. In the very old houses, the toilet was outside. There was no bathroom. The toilet was outside. I think they just washed in the kitchen sink, or I don't know, they had a bathtub, didn't they? A tin bathtub that you fill up and put by the open coal fire or by the range in the dining room, or that would be the dining room, not the lounge, wouldn't it? In the dining room, or the scullery, possibly. So you'd have your bath there, and if you have any visitors, of course, there you are sitting in a tin bath by the fire. Yes, that wouldn't be good, would it? With modern houses, which I don't like because they're just boxes, no character, nothing, I think it's the same sort of layout. Daughter number 2, her house, they got quite a large house. You go in the front door, stairs are in front of you, and then hall round to the left. And that hall goes to, lounge, not dining room, lounge, a kind of study room. And on the right, as you go in the front door, immediate right, is the huge, what you would call, I suppose, kitchen diner. And then you can walk through to the doors which take you out into the garden. So the kitchen diner is basically the length of the house. You may have heard the term 2 up, 2 down. That goes back to the old terraced houses we had here, where you've got 2 rooms downstairs and 2 rooms upstairs. So upstairs are 2 bedrooms. Downstairs would be, what would it be, a parlour or a living room, a sitting room, and the kitchen, and the toilet outside, of course. Here we had an outside toilet and also the bathroom upstairs. And we've kept both. What we've done is knocked through there was an outside toilet, an outside coal shed, and then a pantry or larder that you could access from the dining room, which in fact was the kitchen, and the kitchen was the scullery. So what we have done, I did it myself actually, I knocked it all through. So that is now our utility room. There's a toilet, washing machine, bread maker, tumble dryer, all that sort of stuff out of the way, out of the kitchen. And it's rather handy having a toilet upstairs and downstairs, because when we have the family round, 25, 30 people here, including all the little ones, you can imagine there'd be quite a queue for one toilet. So we've got the front door into the property. The back door is normally straight through the kitchen and then outside. That's what we've got here. But also here in the dining room, which is at the back, we've got double doors that open out onto the patio area. That's the area I'm always saying we've got the roof there and it ends up like a greenhouse. Even though there's no front to it, it's open to the garden. It's rather nice to sit there. It gets very hot in the summer. In fact, too hot to sit there. But it's rather nice when it's warm weather, but it's raining a little bit, a shower perhaps. It's raining and you can sit there under the roof, having your lunch, looking out to the garden, the rain. It's lovely. I like hearing the rain on the roof as well. Quite a few bungalows have a side door. So they've got the kitchen at the back, but the back door, as you would call it, is actually on the side. And what I don't like about that is often next door, their side door is facing your side door. So you go out of your kitchen, you're now at the side of the property, looking down the path or the driveway to the road, and immediately opposite you is next door's side door. So I don't like that idea too much, because I like a bit of privacy. If I walk out of the kitchen door, I like to be in the garden, not in a driveway. But I think that's normally with bungalows. So that's the basic layout, Susan, over here. I hope you like that. I think you said you lived here, didn't you, for some time? So all this sort of thing brings back memories for you. And of course, in the older houses, as I've said many times, there are fireplaces everywhere. We've got 4, 2 upstairs in 2 of the bedrooms. We've got 3 bedrooms here. 1 in the lounge, 1 in the dining room. We only use the dining room fireplace, and we are getting to that time of year, aren't we? It's autumnal time at the moment. The sun is beautiful now. It really is lovely. The clear blue sky and the flag isn't moving at all. That's what I like to see. Oh, just briefly, also some bungalows don't have a front door at all. There's no door on the front of the property. It's down the side again. So you might have a front door, or rather a side door. That takes you into the hall, and then you can go kind of left or right to the front of the property or to the rear of the property. There are various layouts like that. And I don't think it's changed really in new houses. I don't know about bungalows, but new houses. You go in, there's the stairs on the left or on the right, there's the hallway, you go down there through the kitchen into the garden, sometimes an extra door from the dining room into the garden. So that's it. I think that's described it enough. And there's the loft or the attic space, of course, which sometimes in a bungalow especially, people will have converted into another huge room. Our niece and her husband have done that. They live in a bungalow. And the loft, the attic space, they've got stairs up there, and it's a massive room, sloping roof, of course, sloping ceiling, with the, is it the Velux windows? But it's a beautiful room and a lovely view up there because they're halfway up the downs, and they look out of the attic windows right across the valley. Lovely. The old houses, a lot of the, well, terraced in particular, but old houses, they didn't have a garage. The reason being there was nowhere to put a garage for a start, and secondly, no one had a car, or very few people had a car, because they weren't cheap. So your average sort of family house was probably a terraced house, no car, no garage, perhaps a shed down the garden, washing line in the garden, of course. And these days, everyone I know that's got a garage, they don't use it to put a car in. They use it they use it to fill with junk. Oh, sorry, apologies, your stuff in the garage isn't junk, is it? Surplus to requirements at the moment. Where should we put this? Oh, stick it in the garage. We had a garage in one of our bungalows, which was handy because out there I put the washing machine, the tumble dryer and a big chest freezer. We didn't put the car in there. And shelves full of decorating stuff, my tools, everything like that. So that was really handy, again, to get the freezer, the washing machine, the tumble dryer, all out of the kitchen. Because if you've only got a small kitchen like we have, if we didn't have that utility room, where would we put the tumble dryer, the washing machine, the bread maker and all the other bits and pieces out there? We've got a little fridge, a drinks fridge out there. No, it's not full of beer. There is beer in there, but it's mainly for soft drinks, Cokes, Fanta, orange stuff and lemonade. It's for the kids when they come round. I do keep a few cans of beer in there. It's only a small fridge. It's not really big enough for wine. Trish puts her wine in the big fridge in the kitchen. And our freezer, it's about 6 feet tall. Yeah, it's about 6 feet, my height. That we have down in the shed. Because when you think about it, how often do you have to go to the freezer? Not that often. And quite a few people in our road have done that. They've got the freezer in the shed. Our shed is secure, I might add. It's alarm. We've got the security alarm down there as well as on the house. So if anyone's going down there to try and nick my chips, then I'll know about it no matter what time in the night. Do not nick my chips. And dare I mention our loft, our attic space, absolutely full of stuff. Stuff belonging to the kids who left home years ago. It's a good storage space. Trisha, actually, I've got to say this, I don't go up there because my leg hurts, my back hurts. I do go up there now and then to sort out my aerials which are there. She organises the loft space beautifully. If I say to her, where's that wallpaper steamer thing, that strip? I know where it is. She knows exactly where it is in the loft. Where's that picnic hamper that we used to have and use years ago? Within 5 minutes, she's up there. There it is. She knows where everything is. It's amazing. I don't know how she does it. What I don't like, I know a lot of people do this, but I don't like it. You've got the lounge in the front of the house, and there's a dividing wall, and the dining room at the back of the house. And what people do is take that dividing wall away, or make it into a big archway or something. So you've got one room, the lounge and dining room become one. So from the back garden, you can look into the window, right the way through to the window in the front of the house, out onto the street. I don't like that. I like separate dining room, separate lounge, especially when we have, say, Christmas, Boxing Day, everyone's here, the whole family are here. All the younger people, the kids and the younger ones, they'll be in the lounge watching telly, something on the telly or playing games. The adults are all in the dining room having our mince pies and mulled wine and Stone's ginger wine. That's my favourite. I do like Stone's ginger wine. Port and lemon. I like port and lemon. I don't like spirits. I don't like whiskey, vodka, gin. I don't like any of that. It works out rather well. The kids don't annoy us. We don't annoy the kids. And even in the summer, our lounge is a lot cooler because it faces north. A lot cooler than the dining room. So sometimes the elderly people, I'm not elderly by the way, not yet. Sometimes the elderly people will go into the lounge where it's a bit cooler. They don't like the heat. Another thing people do is put an extension on the back of the house. Now that is a very popular idea, isn't it? People have said to us, why don't you put an extension on the back? Instead of your patio roof, have an extension. You get another room that way. We don't want another room. There's only 2 of us here. We've got a 3-bedroom house, lounge, dining room, 2 toilets. We don't need another room. I know what would happen. If we had a conservatory or an extension on the back of the house, we'd fill it with stuff. Because, we collect stuff. We are not minimalistic here. Tricia and I have stuff everywhere. Bits and pieces. Our walls are covered in things, pictures and all sorts of things, photographs. You could barely see the wall in the dining room for stuff. I like it. She likes it. And people have said when they come here, they have said, oh, I love your home. There's so much to look at. It's like a Lowry painting, the matchstalk men and matchstalk cats and dogs. The Lowry painting, you can look at it and you can study it for ages and see things that you haven't seen before. I haven't seen that before. I must have missed that. Each time you look at a Lowry painting, there's something else that you haven't seen before. And it's like our dining room in particular. It is full of stuff. As I say, you can barely see the walls for bits and pieces. Now, my brother-in-law hates it. He has said that he couldn't cope with that. It just drives him around the bend. He is a minimalistic type person. Couple of pictures on the mantelpiece, a 3-piece suite, coffee table, TV, and that's about it. Maybe a side table next to a sofa or something, but that's it. Whereas with us two, Tricia and me, it's a good job Tricia's the same as me. She likes stuff everywhere. Of course, it's very difficult to dust. You go around with a duster, you can't dust any of the shelves or anything because they're just full of bits and pieces, ornaments and goodness knows what. So we don't bother to dust. No, that's not true. Tricia's out at the moment. If she heard me say that, she would be angry. We do dust. I love that saying, my house is clean enough to be healthy and dirty enough to be happy. That sums up our home exactly. This isn't our house, it's our home. I do like it, it's our home. I was talking last week, was it, about architecture and the dreadful buildings. Joan, lovely to hear from you, and thank you for the photos. I shall put those on the website at some stage. I haven't got much time at the moment. As I said, we only got back from the island yesterday, and today there's all sorts going on. So I've got to get this podcast episode done. But the photos you have sent me, now these are in California, and I agree with you, Joan, they look awful. They're dreadful buildings. I don't understand. There's one here. It looks like a pile of boxes. Well, they're not boxes exactly. They're strange shapes, misshapen boxes, piled up like a child would pile up bricks. All wrong, not properly. I don't know. It just looks weird. But it's nice to know that it's not just here in Britain where we have dreadful architects. It's also in California. So thank you very much for that, Joan. That is interesting. And you're a new listener, so welcome aboard. It's lovely to have you aboard. Ray, you've sent me several links to videos and interesting bits and pieces. I don't mind that at all. No, you keep sending me links. A lot of people send me links to videos which are concerned with the old days, old black and white videos of railway stations and things that no longer exist here in Britain. As you know, all our branch lines were closed down in the 60s by Dr. Beeching? Closed down all the little railway lines to villages and wherever they went. Ripped that lot up. We don't need all that. Of course, now people are saying we really need a railway line to that village out there. That would be useful. Too late, all ripped up and gone. Bit like fireplaces. People move into an old house. Oh, we don't want that old fireplace. Rip that out. 10 years later, do you know, we ought to have a fireplace there. Wouldn't that look nice if we had a fireplace, an open fire? Susan, not the Susan in Germany. This is a Susan in the UK. Do you remember I was talking about miniskirts? Everything goes round, doesn't it? What goes round comes round and all that. And I said, disappointingly, miniskirts haven't come round. Susan, you're right, they have. I'd forgotten that. School kids, some of these girls, honestly, it's not worth them wearing a skirt. I don't think it's a good thing. What are they, 15, 16 years old? And they're barely wearing a skirt. I mean, it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't look good. So you're quite right, Susan. Yes, there are mini skirts still around. But I don't agree with that. A school uniform should be comfortable, nice to look at, of course, but not that sort of thing. I don't know. Perhaps it's just me being old-fashioned. Jim, nice to hear from you over there in America. You say I didn't mention my son who lives in North Carolina when there was all the floods and the winds and the trees down, roads ripped up and all that business. No, I didn't mention that, Jim, because I wasn't sure whether he was okay or not at the time. I was waiting to hear from him. Anyway, him, his wife and their girls, they're all fine. There has been a lot of damage around the place, but fortunately they survived it all. I think one of the roads has been ripped up. Is it in Boone? I mean, they don't live in Boone. That's somewhere nearby or whatever. But that's why I didn't mention that, Jim. I was waiting to hear from him to see how they were all doing. And they're fine. So thank you for that, Jim. Do you know, I haven't had breakfast yet. I've been chatting to you, enjoying myself, enjoying your company, and I haven't had breakfast yet. So I'm going to go downstairs to the kitchen and see what I can sort out. Trisha's out. She had to go out early to help daughter number 3 set up a market stall. That's another story altogether. When I've had my breakfast, I would tell you about the Isle of Wight. No, don't switch off now. It's interesting. I can hear some of you mumbling, oh, not the Isle of Wight again. Oh, Isle of Wight. Here we go. Click, switch that off. No, I won't bore you, I promise. I'm always aware about boring people. You know, I don't want to ramble on about Quor Abbey, for example, on the island, the monastery where the monks are. I could talk about that for ages. The lovely grounds inside the chapel, I believe it's called, whatever it's called. Fantastic in there. It really is fantastic. But I think if I ramble on about that for ages, people would switch off. But I'll tell you a little bit about our trip, and I'll play the recordings I made while I was there. But that's after breakfast. I shall see you in a minute. That's better. I was starved. I'm always starved. That's why I don't lose weight. There we are. The ferry. Now, first of all, driving to Portsmouth to catch the ferry on Monday morning. Lashing rain, wind. You know what it's like on the motorway. Lorries, the spray's all coming up as you go past the lorries. Dreadful. And of course we're looking at each other thinking, is this going to be the whole week? Lashing rain and wind and horrible. We got onto the ferry and we're having our coffee in this sort of lounge place, looking out over the sea, and we're rocking around. In fact, the captain came on and he said, there's a lot of swell around. It might be best if you stay seated for the trip. If you do walk anywhere, be careful. And I walked to the loo and I came from one side to the other. And honestly, people, if you looked at me, you'd think I was drunk. Look at that bloke there. Look, it's only early in the morning. He's obviously drunk already. It's dreadful. Yes, it was good fun, though. As Trish said, she looked out of we were facing the side. I think it was the port side. And she said, look, there's the sky, there's the land, and there's the sea. Oh, no, there's the land, there's the sky, because it's rocking back and forth. We've never had it rough like that before. Well, I say rough, it wasn't rough, it was just a bit choppy. Once we'd settled in our chalet place, which was all right, the bed was dreadful. The bedroom wasn't much bigger than the bed itself, so the bed's jammed up against the wall. It rocked about. It was an awful bed, but the chalet itself was okay. It's basic, as it was just the two of us. No children this time, no mother-in-law and elderly ladies, just the two of us, so we thought, well, we can put up with the basic chalet. It's only a base, isn't it? Somewhere to sleep and eat. And we did eat out a couple of times. But apart from that, the chalet was okay. So our first port of call, there we are, port of call, you see, in keeping with the ferry. No, we didn't go on the ferry, we drove to the Needles. And I made a little recording. You've been waiting for this all week, haven't you? No, I haven't. Oh, okay. I don't know whether you're going to hear this because of the wind. I'm at the Needles. I'm just by the Needles, actually, watching the chairlift go down to Alum Bay. Alum Bay is where the coloured sand is. Trisha's just gone down out of sight on the chairlift. I don't do heights, as you know. I'm not going on that chairlift. I wouldn't go on there if you gave me £10,000. The weather, we have to talk about the weather, don't we? Very windy, as you can probably hear. Blue sky, lovely blue sky. Few clouds here and there. Temperature's about 15°C. Just walking up a hill. Unfortunately, from here up to the actual Needles, where you see the lighthouse, it's quite a long walk, which I was looking forward to. But my back has gone. But my back is, what's the word I'm looking for without swearing? Damaged. Now coming back up to the top, where there are people shouting and lots of stupid music playing. Why do we need music everywhere we go? It's not even music, it's a row. Anyway, that'll do for now. I shall come back in a minute when we are up at the top of the White Cliffs, looking out over the Needles and to the White House. The lighthouse, a White House? That's a long way from here. The lighthouse, I mean. See, hang on, here comes an aeroplane. Nothing of interest. Blue sky, sunshine really is trying to come through there. Okay, see you in a minute. I'm now looking out from the Needles, not actually on the lighthouse, you can't get there. Looking kind of west, northwest, there's Hurst Castle. I can see across the water there. I'm also listening to... Sorry about that, I'm listening to the ships. I shall turn him off. Listening to the ships, good signal up here. Solent Coast Guard and Southampton BTS. KHM, which is King's Harbour Master. Used to be QHM, Queen's Harbour Master. That changed a while ago, as you know. We've got some dark clouds coming in. Big black heavy clouds, but at the moment I'm in the sunshine. It's lovely looking out across the water. Now to the left of me, or to the west, is looks like the West Country down there. And a load of people have decided to join me. Isn't it marvellous? Wherever I go, people have to come near me and start rabbiting. Anyway, as I was saying, Hurst Castle over there. Can't see any ships, only one yacht at the moment. And then down there we've got the New Forest, of course, over there. And you go down to Bournemouth, down the West Country, Devon, Cornwall. So rather nice. It's very calm at the moment, a little bit of wind, blue sky, sunshine, but the clouds are coming in. I'm now up at the very, very top. There's a Coast Guard station here with a man up there looking out of the window with binoculars. Place is covered with aerials. I'll put the photos on the website, rants.info. But there's a notice here, volunteers wanted, full training given. If I lived closer to the Needles, which I don't, I would volunteer. Being a licensed radio amateur, I'd be great at that. I'd enjoy that. Fantastic. People walking around again. Imagine that. Up there with radios, binoculars. Fantastic. Looking out across the English Channel. It's only I think it's only a lookout post. It's not actually a Coast Guard station as such. They've got radios and they're in touch with shipping and stuff like that. Solent Coast Guard, of course. That would be amazing. Wonderful place up the Needles there up the top, looking out over the ocean. Well, I say the ocean, the English Channel. Well, it is an ocean, isn't it, of sorts? English Channel. We had our lunch there, which was rather nice. There were some huge black clouds coming in, but they seemed to disappear again, so that was all right. Lots of boats around, of course, lots of yachts, all coming out of Portsmouth and Southampton. The bigger ships come out the other side, the east side of the island, the Solent there. That's where the huge tankers and ferries, car ferries, all that lot go over to France. They come out of that side, and all the container ships that go into Southampton. There's Fawley oil refinery in Southampton, just Southampton Water there. Fawley oil refinery, where I think they make petrol and diesel or whatever they do. When we lived backing onto the railway years ago, the diesel engines used to come along pulling loads of tankers full of something, petrol or diesel, from Fawley, of course, from Southampton. And if it stopped at the end of our garden, you could hear all the petrol or whatever it was all sloshing about in the tanks. I would love to be a volunteer Coast Guard up at that lookout place. That would be fantastic. Up there with radios and things, I'd be in my element. Trish said, well, you could always do it. You could get the ferry there. The ferry there every day and back. I'd be gone 24 hours a day. I'd get home and it'd be time to leave again. I'm still at the Needles, standing next to a huge cannon. There will be a photo on the website. There's a seagull hovering above me, just sitting on the wind. Wonderful looking out here. The rescue helicopter has just gone by. Heard him on the radio. And he's headed down west somewhere. He's disappeared from sight. The sea is so calm, it really is calm. But I think any minute now we've got the rain coming in. It's black. Goodness me, I'm looking up, it's black. the sky is very black. But what a fantastic place. If ever you get to the Isle of Wight, do have a look at the Needles. We normally walk from Alum Bay. It's about a mile, or is it more than a mile, up a sort of gentle hill to where I am now. But my knee and my back hurt, so we got the bus. There's a bus that comes right up to the very top. £7.50 each return. Might sound a lot, but it's not too bad these days. Fortunately, the dogs and the people have all disappeared. Trish has gone down the dungeon. Well, it's not a dungeon. You can go down through a chalk tunnel, right the way down to a lookout in the cliffs, the face of the cliffs. Oh, in fact, here she is. She's come back up again. After that, we moved on to Ryde to have a look at the pier. Unfortunately, the railway wasn't running, but here's a little recording of Ryde. I'm now looking out to Ryde Pier, a bit windy. Right at the end there is where we stopped on the Waverley. But I think the Waverley damaged it because it's no longer stopping there. Oh, I just got soaked. The sea's coming over the wall. It's pretty rough today. I'll tell you what, I'm glad it wasn't this rough when we were on the paddle steamer. I was standing by the wall. A huge wave came over and soaked me. Not to worry, it's only water. The sky is black. Honestly, Trish is down there. I think she's going to go for a swim. No, she's not. I'm looking right the way up to the end of Ryde Pier. Unfortunately, the railway isn't running, which is a shame. They're doing some essential repair work on it. But it's getting very windy here, and it looks black, and I think it's lunchtime. The sky kept turning black, huge water-laden clouds coming over, but it didn't actually rain. We had a little bit of rain at one point when we were high up on the hill at Ventnor, behind Ventnor. Is it Boniface Down? You go up Down Lane. I've made a recording of that. I'll just play you that. As I say, I won't bore you too much with recordings of all over the island. I'm not sure how many I did. I normally overdo it, make loads of recordings, then don't use half of them. But I think this next one is where we go up to the hill behind Ventnor. I'm now up a very windy hill at the back of Ventnor. If you go up Down Lane, you get right to the top. We're 900 feet above sea level, and I'm at the air traffic control tower. ATC, it says here, NATS, National Air Traffic, and all the aerials are here. Fantastic. The whole Isle of Wight trip, I just said to Trish, the whole Isle of Wight trip has been well worth it, because I'm now standing here looking at the aerials. I've also been on the radio in the car, spoken to a friend of mine, Martin, in Worthing. We had a quick chat. The sky is very black all around. You can normally see Worthing from up here, but it's very overcast today, and I think we're almost up in the clouds, to be honest. But fantastic up here. A few spots of rain, some blue sky over there, and I'm looking at a radar scanner going round and round. As you know, that is my want. The whole trip's been worthwhile. If you want to see photos of the aerial tower, the air traffic control tower, go to the website rants.info. I'm sure you'll all be highly, highly interested. Looking over there to the, which way is it? To the west. It is black. The sky is really black. Yeah, there will be photos on the website, so have a look. Sorry about the quality of the audio there. The wind really, even though I had the furry thing on the microphone, the wind was horrendous up there. 900 feet above sea level. We're completely exposed, sticking out in the English Channel. As I said, a few drops of rain, but that sky, it never did reach us. It was black all around, but it never really got to us, which was good. We're now at God's Hill, or God's Shill. I think it's God's Hill, where there's a miniature village. It's fantastic. It's even been on the television in various programmes where they've needed a miniature village. Look it up on the map, God's Hill, as in Godshil. Trish is looking around the shops, as she does, and I'm sitting in a beautiful garden surrounded by plants, and at the moment I'm the only one here in this little spot. No doubt I've spoken too soon, because I would imagine any minute now I shall be joined by other people. But this is rather nice. It's hot. I've had to take my shirt off. No, I have got a t-shirt underneath, so don't worry. Thanks for your emails, which I've been having a quick look at. When we get back to our chalet later this afternoon, I shall answer some of those. Thank you very much. Lovely to hear from you all. And lovely of those who have said, I hope the weather's good for you on the Isle of Wight. It is. A few spots of rain earlier up at the hill. What is it? Boniface Down, I think. Boniface Down. Oh, here come some people. Right, I shall update you shortly. Stop calling me shortly. We're still at God's Hill, and Trish has gone shopping again. And I'm sitting in another garden. It's beautiful. Flowers everywhere. I'm surrounded by flowers. And there are bees. I've never seen so many bees around the garden. It's lovely. Now someone's looking at me through the gate. What's the matter with people? Clear off. Sorry about that. There's some bloke looking at me now. Goodness me. They probably think I'm with the BBC because I'm talking into a furry microphone. This is a lovely spot, far away from people, or far enough away anyway. It's really nice. The temperature, I don't know what the temperature is, but it must be 16, 17 degrees. A slight breeze. Really nice here. Peaceful. Apart from people shouting in the distance. Nice and peaceful. What's it called? The Old Smithy. So if ever you're on the Isle of Wight, go to God's Hill, the Old Smithy, and you can sit here in the garden with the flowers and the bees. We're now at the donkey sanctuary. There seem to be more birds than donkeys. They're lovely. Up in this tree, I can't see them. I can certainly hear them. This is the donkey sanctuary at Wroxall, on the Isle of Wight, of course. You don't have to pay to come in, but you can donate. It's all free. There's a cafe, and it's all out of the countryside. And as usual, of course, you can hear the traffic in the background. Doesn't matter where you go, you can hear traffic. Just looking at a stream here. Oh, someone's thrown a plastic bottle in the stream. As you do, idiots. But it's a lovely place if ever you're on the Isle of Wight, as I'm always saying, if ever you find yourself on the Isle of Wight, come and have a look at the donkey sanctuary in Wroxall. We're thinking of adopting a donkey. I think it's about £3 a month. I mean, it's not actually yours, you know, you just pay the £3 a month and you get sort of updates or something. It's just a nice way of helping to pay some of the costs, or towards some of the costs. These birds are fantastic. It's really nice. Oh, there's some cows over there having a rest in the field. Cows, when they're laying down, they're not saying rain's coming. That's a myth. They're just tired. There are some little Shetland ponies here. I don't know what they're called. The miniature Shetland ponies or something. I was hoping to get some donkeys making donkey noises. As soon as I approach them, they go quiet. There was one last year when we were here. We walked into this barn and this donkey went mental. He went ballistic, making all sorts of noise. I don't know what his problem was, but he wasn't keen to see us, I suppose. No sooner had I said I wanted to record some donkeys. What are they braying? Are they braying? Yes, horses neigh, don't they? Donkeys bray, I think. No sooner had I said that, and this happened. That was brilliant. I kept saying to them, come on, talk to me, and they just looked. But they're lovely animals, donkeys. They really are lovely. And the little Shetland ponies were nice. We stayed there quite a while, had a cup of tea. There are so many places on the island to visit. Now, here's the thing. I saw a YouTube video months ago a chap had made of terrible places on the Isle of Wight. I think it was terrible places. And he'd videoed derelict buildings. I think I've mentioned this before, but I had a look round with that in mind. I had a look round when we were in Ryde. I looked around and there were some derelict buildings. I think what's happened is back in the heyday, the 50s, the 60s, where people all went to the Isle of Wight on holiday. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people did, didn't they? They'd all go to the Isle of Wight on holiday. There were hotels, boarding houses, bed and breakfast, guest houses everywhere. Then in the 70s, people started to go to Spain. They went to Benidorm and got drunk and got sunburnt and then came home and said that was fantastic. So the Isle of Wight holiday makers were no longer, or few anyway, few and far between. Not far and few between, as I used to say, and Tricia would correct me. Few and far between. So many of the places that were closed, they're all boarded up. You can see the faded signs, something or other hotel, bed and breakfast, something guest house. And it's such a shame. But the thing is, now here's the thing again, there are so many around Ryde. Well, everywhere you go, there are so many boarded up buildings, derelict buildings. One of them I saw, a fantastic place, or would have been back in the day. It was a beautiful building, absolutely derelict though. Weeds growing all over it, trees growing out of the chimneys. Well, not quite trees. Bushes growing out of the chimneys though. Or around the chimney stack anyway. They were actually bushes growing out, and it's just left. I don't know what's going to happen to these places. It needs someone with some money to perhaps buy up some of the nicer buildings that aren't too bad, and I don't know, turn them into what? This is the trouble. There are no holiday makers. Well, there are. They go to caravan sites. They go to the chalets in the woods where we go in May. We're back there in May. Beautiful chalets in the woods. I don't know about other people, but I don't want to stay in the town in a bed and breakfast. Or even, is it an Airbnb or whatever these things are these days? I like to be out of the town, either near the beach or preferably in or near the woods. I don't want to be in the town. So these places, I think, are all derelict now and boarded up. But they were busy in the heyday, as I say, 50s, 60s. People went all over England, didn't they, up to Scotland and Wales for their holidays each year. Butlins, dare I mention it, Butlins down in Bognor. They were hugely busy at Butlins. Whereas now, I don't know, I suppose families go there in the summer months, I don't know, but nothing like it used to be. Such a shame though, all these places on the Isle of Wight that are just derelict now. And the sad thing is they're left. What's going to happen to them? If they're left too long, they'll eventually fall down. I don't know what the local councils are doing about this, but I can see it's going to become a major problem. And pubs closing everywhere, of course. Forget the Isle of Wight, all over the UK. Pubs are closing all over the place. We're now at Amazon World, and you've just heard flamingos. Strange looking things with skinny legs, having somewhat of an altercation. The two of them weren't happy with each other. That is, I don't know what that is. We'll go and look at that in a minute. We've got lovely weather again. It's blue sky, sunshine. This is our last full day. We're home tomorrow, Friday, back on the ferry after a lovely week. I don't know whether you can hear me over the noise. We seem to be in the Amazon rainforest. It's fantastic. It's very warm, humid. There's an amazing variety of birds. I don't know what they all are, but different types from around the world. There's a huge pond full of fish, and in a minute we're going to come up to the giant tortoises. I think it must be Gary's great-grandfather, because one of them is a lot bigger than Gary. Turtles here, hundreds of goldfish, and a whole row of turtles all warming themselves on a log. I have a few more recordings, but I think that's enough for now. That was Amazon World on the island, of course. Amazon World, there are monkeys, there's all sorts there. Meerkats, they're lovely, the meerkats to watch. And there's the usual place for a cup of tea. A lot of places like their little ice cream building, that was closed. They didn't do hot food at lunchtime, not that we wanted that. A lot of things now are coming, it's the end of the season, they're coming to the end and they're closed. But that didn't matter, we had a good time. There was so much more. There's Shanklin Chine, there's a zoo, well, there's loads of stuff. There are museums. We just couldn't fit it all in, not in a few days anyway. And besides, we've done it all before, so we weren't missing anything. I think I'll end it here. It's not quite an hour. It's only 3/4 of an hour, actually, but we're a little bit short on time today. As I said, this is going on tomorrow morning, Sunday, 8 o'clock. And we're now, where are we? Saturday afternoon. So I haven't got a lot of time left. I've got to unpack some stuff still. My radios that I took over in a briefcase, I've got to unpack those. It was great fun taking the radios round with me. People, it's funny, you've got the aerial sticking out of your pocket, like they do. They all have these little handheld walkie-talkies wherever you go, Amazon World, wherever. The staff, the volunteers have got the walkie-talkies. And of course, I've got the same thing, little aerial sticking out of my top pocket. And the public were coming up to me and, oh, excuse me, could you tell me where so-and-so is? And what time are you open at the weekend? I said, sorry, I don't work here. And they sort of look at my little aerial and point, oh, but you've got a radio. Yes, that's nothing to do with it. I'm not a volunteer or staff. That's just a private thing. The amount of people that come up to me over the years, when I've been out with my radio. Be good, be bad, and don't get caught and all that nonsense. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast episode. Hope you enjoyed my Isle of Wight trip. I do have more recordings I might inflict on you at some stage in the future. I don't know. I'm not sure what's left. We did go to a lot of other places, but as I've said, I don't want to bore you. Right, I think that's it. I will see you on Wednesday with the midweek message. Don't forget to send me photographs. So far, only Joan has sent me a photograph of some local dreadful architecture. So if you've got any photos, raise rants@protonmail.com. Have a look at the website. I will put the Isle of Wight pictures on there. Hopefully I'll do that before this episode goes on Sunday. But if not, don't worry, they will appear there shortly. Stop calling me shortly. Stupid joke that is. I've really enjoyed your company. Look after yourselves and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.